It has been over 1 week since the Taliban took over Afghanistan. Only one province in the country has so far evaded the Taliban's control, the Panjshir Valley. Located around 150 kilometers to the northeast of the capital, Kabul, the Panjshir Valley is the last remaining holdout for anti-Taliban forces in the country. It is the only place which might offer real resistance to the Taliban. The valley is now at the center of this resistance movement as the Taliban started closing in on the remote mountainous region. A video released by the Taliban appears to show a heavily armed military convoy on the Panjshir front line. Video footage posted on social media showing an area near the valley where the Taliban forces can be seen gathering. The Taliban spokesman Zabiullah Mujahid has confirmed that their forces have started surrounding this province. But the resistance forces have been setting the Panjshir Valley as the stage for a decisive battle. Hundreds of anti-Taliban commanders and forces have gathered in the Panjshir Valley. This is an old stronghold of the Taliban opponents. In fact, local media published pictures of opposition forces gathering in the valley. It also hosts some of the senior members of the ousted Afghanistan government and old warlords, including the deposed vice president and the so-called caretaker president, Amrullah Saleh, and the former defense minister, Bismillah Mohammadi. Right after the takeover of Kabul, Amrullah Saleh, remember, had vowed to never bow down before the Taliban. But the leader of resistance forces has hoped to hold peaceful talks with the outfit. Ahmad Massoud, the son of the assassinated guerrilla commander Ahmad Massoud, has sought to assemble a force of around 9,000 people to counter the Taliban. Even though the leader is hoping to hold negotiations, Massoud has assured that his forces will fight in case of invasion.
We are not fighting a geography. We are not fighting one province. We are defending the whole country in one province. That's what's happening. And we want to make Taliban realize that the only way forward is through negotiation and talk. And we are talking to them, and we do not want war to break out and to happen. And we want the Taliban to realize that these values that I just mentioned, it's more important than anything else, than any sort of military victory. I am in my sanctuary. I am in my stronghold, Panjshir Valley. The people of Panjshir Valley are very much united, and they want to defend, and they want to fight, and they want to resist against any totalitarian regime, against any belief that wants to enforce their own belief and ideology upon the people. The people in here are just a small portion of the people of Afghanistan. In the geography of Panjshir is the smallest province in the whole Afghanistan. But what we are standing for right now, it's for the whole country. It's for sovereignty. It's for peace. It's for people. It's for inclusivity and tolerance and acceptance and moderation.
Anti-Taliban forces have been training in the valley to fight the Taliban. The resistance forces have been training near the famous Panjshir River. The valley has repeatedly played a decisive role in Afghanistan's history. Its geographical position almost completely closes it off from the rest of the country. The only access point to the valley is through a narrow passage created by the Panjshir River. Before the Taliban seized power, the province was repeatedly demanding more autonomy from the Afghan government. The history of the valley's independence has been closely linked to Ahmad Massoud, Afghanistan's most famous anti-Taliban fighter who led the strongest resistance against the outfit until his assassination in 2001. Reports, meanwhile, indicating that Taliban sources have said a new government in the country will not be in place until all the US troops have left. Significant development coming on a day when the Taliban held their first Loya Jirga ever since capturing the Afghan capital. This is a political assembly where the purpose is to hold consultations with the religious scholars, focused on teaching at madrasas, and also about the prospects of women returning to work. Among the prominent Taliban leaders to attend the meeting were the spokesperson, Zabiullah Mujahid. Our correspondent Anas Malik getting you more.
The Afghan Taliban today are holding their first ever Loya Jirga after overrunning the capital city of Kabul. In attendance are Zabiullah Mujahid, the spokesperson of the group, alongside Amir Khan Muttaqi, who is a key leader from the group's political office in Doha. It is currently ongoing as we speak. The Loya Jirga, it focuses on three main topics, on three main areas of discussion. First being that of the education system, what it would be, whether it would be a school education system or a madrasa education system. Secondly, to quote-unquote encourage younger generation, including men and women, to help build a quote-unquote emirat. And thirdly, the fact that to stop mass exodus and ask ulama to play their role in order to prevent a mass exodus that is currently ongoing. On the other hand, the group's sources say that they would not be forming a government until the last US soldier remains on their soil. That means at least until the 31st of this month. We might not be seeing a formation of the Afghan Taliban government formation. Lastly, we saw some skirmishes at the airport where thousands continue to wait at different sides of the Kabul International Airport in a bid to flee the country. Last night we saw skirmishes between guards of the Afghan Defense Forces that are stationed at the northern gate and unknown men that resulted in an exchange of heavy fire. Anas Malik in Kabul, Afghanistan for WION World is One.
Surrounded by the towering peaks of the Hindu Kush, Panjshir has emerged as the bastion of resistance in the Afghan conflict. And leading the fight against the Taliban is Ahmad Massoud, or the son of the Lion of Panjshir, as he is called. Massoud shares his father's name and his looks, but it looks like now he also shares his father's motto, to never surrender. The 32-year-old is ready to follow his footsteps, gathering fighters in the Panjshir Valley who are preparing to take on the Taliban. Ahmad Shah Massoud was a legendary Afghan war hero, one of the main leaders of Afghanistan's anti-Soviet resistance in the 1980s. He then went on to lead the Afghan government's military wing, leading the strongest resistance against the Taliban from the valley. He was later assassinated. That was just 2 days ahead of the 9/11 attacks. Massoud was only 12 years old when his father was killed. He went on to finish his secondary school education in Iran and completed his higher studies in the United Kingdom. He was appointed as the Massoud Foundation CEO in November 2016. Ahmad Massoud officially entered politics in March 2019. He was declared his father's successor at his mausoleum in the Panjshir Valley. And since then, he has been leading the National Resistance Front of Afghanistan. While he is prepared to fight, Massoud hopes for peaceful talks with the Taliban. The Tajik leader called for an inclusive government in Kabul, representing all of Afghanistan's different ethnic groups. Joining him are other leaders, including the caretaker president, the so-called caretaker president, Amrullah Saleh. In a recent opinion piece, Massoud said that he would defend Panjshir as the last bastion of Afghan freedom. His rallying call reminiscent of that of his father. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.